Hey everybody, welcome back to NSB. So last video we got that oil pan off. This video we're going to put the new oil pan on. So let's get over and get started. So now we have the oil pan, the motor mounts removed. I got the windage tray took off. Next step's going to be getting the other pan back on. But there's some things that we need to do before the oil pan can go back on. And at this time I want to go through, I think I've already showed the kit that I bought, but I want to go through this kit a little bit more and let you see what's going on with it. So let's go take a look at it. So take a look at this kit here. We've got a manual that came with this oil pan. I can't stress on how much that you need to go through this entire manual before you start this, because there's things you're going to run into, like I have. After I got the oil pan off, I thought I was going to put this oil pan right back on with no problem, but it's a little more than what we think. For one, as soon as I got into the first page, after I was fixing to put this oil pan on, it gives you all the parts that's included, that comes with it. Parts not included, required, but required. So at that point, that's kind of a stopper. Some motors, this wouldn't give you a problem. I think on the 6.4s, I think you'll be okay. But when you have a 5.7 and you're doing this oil pan swap, be sure to read this manual and get what you need before you start. For one, this pan comes with, your pan, your pickup tube, your windage tray. This little square plate goes in the bottom, and a bag of all your bolts and a dipstick deflection, O-rings. I mean, it comes with pretty much everything, right? But no, one bolt that you're going to need, which I kind of circled in this book here. It says, for customers that's using a 5.7, Hemi will need to purchase a Mopar part number. It's a main cap double-ended bolt, which is this bolt here down in this picture. So there's our bolt. Right here. And let's see what I do with my other one. I got one more bolt here. What can I do with it? So this is one thing you're going to need, is this bolt. And you're also going to need a nut that's going to go on the bolt. The nut that I have here, which I'm going to put some Loctite on it. I like using these because these bolts already have a kind of like a washer built onto it. But if you look on this side of it, it's got those little notches all the way around. It's a self-locking. So when you tighten it down, it's kind of like a lock bolt. Not to mention, I'm going to put Loctite on it too, so we don't have it falling off into the oil pan. But this is to hold your new dipstick, or not your new dipstick, your new pickup tube. And pretty much they're telling you in this book here that you'll need, like on a 6.4 Hemi, this bolt is in this block, and it's in this very front main cap. And what you'd have to do is remove these two and swap them and put them around. But if you don't have this bolt, you're going to have to buy it and take this bolt out and insert it. Quick fact on this, if you go looking for this online, you can buy one bolt from Jegs. It's like 20 bucks for the bolt, $10 shipping, so you're going to get like $30 into this one bolt. Going to Chrysler, the only way you're going to get it is in a bag of 4. And that's what I purchased, because I got 4 of them for $40. I didn't have to ship it. I went right up here and picked it up right down the road for me here in the house. And I figure down the road, if I do more than these, I got 3 extras that I can do some more motor swaps with. If not, for the extra 10 bucks, I got all these extra bolts. So why spend $30 on one bolt when I can get 4 for 40? So I only got $10 in that one bolt. So pretty much I've got all that ready. And when you read through this book, you know, you got to do a little assembly on the oil pan before you get to it. There are some things that you need to look at before we do this one. I'll go over it here in just a minute. There is one other piece on here. The original oil pan, the dipstick, let me show you. The dipstick for this went right into the oil pan, right here in this hole. On this oil pan, there's no dipstick hole. But on this motor, they have a spot where a dipstick could go in, right here. They have a plug in it, so we have to knock this plug out of this motor, because this is where our new dipstick's going to come in. Now, this is another spot that you just ain't going to throw your oil pan on unless you have, or determine what you're going to do. Because when you get over here and you're assembling this inside this pan, one way is if you have the Holley dipstick tube, which is I don't have at this point. I'm going to purchase one, so I'm going to have the Holley dipstick tube. Or you can use the truck dipstick if you go to the junkyard, find an old motor and get the dipstick out of, I guess. But when you do that, when you assemble it, you have to put this extra piece on. It's a deflection that hits it and makes it go down. But we're going to opt for the other one, so I shouldn't have to do none of that. We're going to go ahead and just get the Holley dipstick tube, and I can put that in down the road because it's going to come in from the top side. Other than that, there's some cleaning preparations you need to do before. So mainly just, the book's not that bit long. It's got a few things, to go through. Tells you about this pan's even equipped with return oil ports for if you're running a turbo, which I don't, but that's pretty cool because I might do a turbo on one of these before it's over with. Nice to know that we have that. The pan talks about that this O-ring should be already in the pan, but if not, what you have to do to put it in the pan. Luckily ours is already in. I don't have to do none of that. The windage tray, the pickup tube, tells you make sure to put a little oil, use the new O-ring, and to get it inserted. And then when you put the oil pan back on, it comes with all brand new bolts. Gives you a torque sequence on how to torque it down and the torque on it. It's pretty simple. But go through the book and read it. It ain't like 4 pages, 5 pages long. It ain't a whole lot of reading. But read this book before you even start. So, that being said, I got the oil pan off. The next thing I've got to do, as you can see, the book does tell you to go to the 4 corners where they originally put a little bit of glue or some Permatex. And we had to clean this one, these 4 corners, and I got just a little bit of grease, as you can see, around this front. I'm gonna clean up and get it wiped down, and then I'm gonna take my original pan off here, or not pan, my pickup tube, and get it out of the way. So let's get all that going there. So now we're going to clean these 4 spots off. I'm gonna be careful not push this down into the motor. I want to kind of take it away from the motor and get it off of it. You can use a razor blade. This little scraper I keep sharp is pretty much a razor blade. So there's that corner, nice and flat, nothing in there. Once again, push this away. Do not need it to fall down in the motor. We're going to do the front one now. I'm going to go all the way across this front flange. Keep all this out of the motor, and then this one corner left. So you can see how that's all nice. No more residual Permatex on it. All 4 corners. Got the front pretty much cleaned off. Take us a small rag, come around, there. So our next step, we need to remove this bolt and get this pickup tube out of the way. One bolt's got quite a bit of oil on it. The tube came out, the O-ring stayed in, so we need to get that O-ring up out of there. I'm gonna put this over here. There's your O-ring. Popped it out. It is supplied with a new O-ring. That one is hard feeling too. So next step is I have to take this bolt out and put the new bolt in. So let me get set up for that. We gotta get our torque wrench, and that one thing I didn't get set up for. So I use this. I got my old bolt out, kind of gummy in there a little bit, don't like that, but it's a used motor, what do you expect? Here's the new bolt, putting it back in. And it said 28 Newton meters. The big thing about this barely gets down there on this, because there it is. So that's 28 Newton meters. And then now it says after going 28 Newton meters to rotate 90 degrees, I believe. Where am I at? Back up a page. Yeah, book says to torque the bolt to 28 Newton meters, then rotate the main cap bolt and double end stud additional 90 degrees. So $90 degrees will be pretty much straight toward me. Holy crap! All right, I got it. So now we got that cap remain, that bolt back in. Now we can move on to getting the oil pan put on. So our next step now is going to be, let me get this torque wrench unloaded. I don't like leaving my torque wrench on its max settings. It needs to be relieved back down to 0 almost. All right. So our next step would pretty much would be putting the pickup tube on, but I'm pretty sure what I ran into getting the other one off, it didn't want to go through, so this is telling me, this says put the pickup tube on. And then the windage tray, so let's see, let's put the pickup tube on. What it's telling us to do. So here's our new pickup tube. As you can see, it will go boom like that. We have our bolt to bolt on here. That's pretty nice. So we're going to get into our bag of bolts. This is the piece that would go on the bottom of that pan if we were putting a truck pan on it, but right now all we need is this little bag with the O-ring. So it says put a little oil on it. So I oiled it up a little bit. I don't know if I want to put the O-ring in like this or on the tube, but let's just see what that fits like. I don't know. I don't want to cut it. Now it went in there pretty nice. And that's sitting flat, and look how much that's up. Really don't like that much pull down. I think I'm gonna do a little tweaking on this because that just don't feel right to me. Maybe it'll pull that tube on down, but I think that's a little better. I just barely tapped that with a hammer and brought it right on down there, so now we're sitting pretty flush. You know, when they weld this on, I'm sure it heats it up, it may bend a little bit. So, you know, kind of pre-fit it to make that fit in there a lot better than what it was fitting. So let's see if I got any blue Loctite. If not, we may have to go red. So it does say use blue Loctite. Unfortunately, I don't have blue Loctite. I do have the red, which is the next step up. It's not that bad. Sometimes, you know, if it's that tight and that stuck, you have to put a little heat on it to get it loose. But most of the time, the red breaks loose all right. Let's see what the torque says for that. Don't want to torque everything, so we'll torque it. Well, no, let's take that back. I even read the book and still missed it. It actually says the windage tray and then the pickup tube. I thought it was going to be. Pretty wild, pretty wild. So we put that on. I'm not going to put more Loctite on it because there's Loctite down in there and it's going to dry. I just don't want to double it up. Place single drop of blue Loctite thread on this thread, torque to 250 inch-pounds. All right, now we're in the inch-pounds. Hell with these Newton meters. There's 250, which is exactly where the Newton meters were at. I should have left it and not unwind it, so I'm just going to leave it on there for right now, because I'm sure the oil pan is going to need the same. All right, now, last but least, let's put a little thread locker on this. It's on there tight, that's not going to come off. Don't care if it says torque it or not. Let me see if it even has a torque for that. Yeah, it says the same. Let's see where I got it at. I made it there. It might be a little more. All right. You notice this floats? You have these tabs here on both sides. When the oil pan goes on, it grabs it and holds it. You just have to make sure you got it lined up. So before we get too far ahead, there is one thing that we need to do. We still got to knock this plug out for the dipstick, because if we don't do it before the oil pan's on, then we're stuck without it. So So right there was the little cap that was in that hole for the dipstick. So now it's cleared out, so I can put a dipstick in it. I'm gonna visual it. Yes, it looks nice. Okay. So now that we have all that done, we're down to, last but least, putting the oil pan on. But before we do the oil pan, we got to assemble the oil pan by putting this square plate in the pan. So pretty much the book is giving you two ways that this goes in, and it's acting like the way it looks, they both go in the same way. The only difference, this goes in that direction with your hole here and a little, I mean, you can see how the pattern of the pan is. The only difference, if you're using a truck dipstick, you would put this piece here you would bolt this piece here, and then you would use a truck dipstick. I guess when the dipstick tube comes in, it must hit this and slide it down in that hole better or something. Where the car one must have a bend and will hit that hole. I don't know. So let's see, does it want Loctite on all this stuff too? Install baffle, lower razor try, apply drop Loctite, and torque the baffle tubes to 8 to 10 foot-pounds. Okay. So we have all your oil pan bolts, and then you have these little shorties, 4 of them, for this baffle here. So it does want Loctite. Got the baffle in. Last but least, now that that's all put in, we got the windage tray on. This page here does talk about this seal. This seal is on. We have all this stuff in. They said to make sure wherever it's cut and glued that it was glued and sealed, but I don't even see where they done that at. It looks nice all the way around. I see no cuts in that, so that must be all one O-ring they got pushed in there. These are going to hit let me show you here. These have these notches cut out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 5 on one side, 4 on the other. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those notches go down and they hit on top of these. That's what holds this pan from going anywhere. So we have everything done. We have everything done here. All we have to do is put this oil pan on. So we got everything on. This is floating around. I'm gonna try to get this centered up to the best of my ability to where I think it's going to be. I'm going by my marks. You can't get the oil pan pinched. It has to sit down flush. We got to get all these in these notches. There. So I got pretty much all my holes lined up. Look pretty good. I'm kind of looking down, make sure we're not pinching the pan. We got a nice symmetry here. Everything looks good. Trying to get 4 corners started here. Then we can dub in the rest. So now it says torque to these pattern 120 foot-pound, or I'm sorry, 105 inch-pounds. I've got it set to 105, and pretty much you're going to do this like you would do a head. You would circle out to the end. So pretty much actually we're starting in the center one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't seem very tight. Last but least, we got our oil plug. I'm just going to hand tight at this point. Let's just tighten it on down. One bolt that I left out is this little guy right here. After looking through it, what the hell is that bolt for? I guess they actually supply a bolt to put the pickup tube. And instead of being a bolt, it's a socket head. It ain't no big deal. I reused the old bolt. I torqued it. It's in there. It ain't going to come back out. I ain't worried about it. It's not like it's going to hit something, but they give you that bolt. I didn't realize it. So, oil pan on. So, there's the Holly oil pan. It's put on. Pickup tube, windage tray, ready for a B-body car. It's got the new sump in the right spot, and that's the changeover on that one. So that was step 1 of getting this in the car, is getting the old oil pan off, the new one on. So now we're going to go step 2, which is putting our motor mounts on. So we got to figure all that out. So go to video number 2. So that took care of getting the oil pan put on. Next video we're going to get the B-body motor mounts put on new model Hemi, and maybe cleaning it up a little bit. So until next time.